Okay, we're here. Audience, can you hear and see us? Okay, because that would be good if you could.
Good evening, everyone. How y'all doing? Everybody happy and well?
Yeah, we all the same volume. That would be a good start.
Hi Moji. Hi Amy. I can see you in the chat.
Hopefully, I'm not too loud.
You're never loud enough,
Yes.
AJ.
Right.
You can tell Amy's like usually a moderator immediately with I hear you. I got you.
Awesome. So I guess we should get started then. Usually I go, hi, I'm Sero, and this is my stream, but it's not my stream. This is the KiwiRPG Week stream. And this is our third panel of the week. And this is the Makers of Actual Play panel. So we have three, hang on, that's six. Three people here who are no strangers to actual plays. And I'll get them to introduce themselves. And should we go introduce selves quickly and then come back to talk about what you do in actual play? Or do you want to try and fit that in your intros, do you think?
Option B.
Option B, fit it in the
We can do
intro?
it.
Okay.
I believe in us.
Okay, let's start with Vahid. Vahid, who are
Sorry.
you?
What was option B? I was moving my screen because I got
Who are you and what do you do in actual play?
Hi there, my name is Vahid, and it's so wonderful to be here. Thank you, Sero, for joining us all together. Julz and AJ, you guys are wonderful. Thank you. It's always nice to hang out with you guys. My name is Vahid, and I've been doing actual play stuff for the past 4.5 years. Live in the South Island, and run the Dice Legends channel and a couple of things on the side. That's enough for me. Tag.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Vahid. And also, let's introduce the lovely, wonderful Julz from NZ. Hi, Julz.
Hey everybody, Jules from NZ, she, her. I am Jules. I am a lover of RPG, TTRPGs of all kinds, professional DM, and just out there making content about things. And I am the DM currently of Fate of Isen, and I play on Grow Up, Run Away. So I have two podcasters to bring to you today.
Oh, so you're double the actual play. Does
Double the actual play, yeah.
that puts you ahead of these guys? I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, can we still call Diceratops an actual play when we're not really that active at the moment? But yeah,
Well,
I'm a part of that too.
I mean, my actual play's on long-term hiatus, so I guess so.
Yeah, sweet.
Okay, thanks, Jules. And we also have AJ Pickett here joining us as well. Thanks for coming, AJ.
Hi, no problem. I'm honored to be amongst you actual players. So I'm the Gandalf of the group, or I guess I'm the Elrond of the group. I was around in the very beginning, 1,000 years ago when Google Hangouts and stuff first sort of started up. So it's a little bit weird that it's a whole category of things now, where it was much more of sort of a pioneering scene, and since then. Which was sort of from Facebook groups and stuff before all the other platforms. I've established myself as the pioneer of the D&D lore video, the lore tuber, and so now I'm the Deckard Kane of D&D who sits down and makes hour-long videos about gelatinous cubes and things like that. That's my spiel. And so actual plays for me are like just blowing off steam with other YouTubers, and we host those on other people's channels. So I'm a participant of actual plays,
You're a guest player.
Yeah, but also have run many games as well. So yeah.
Okay. So now that we know what everyone's actual play credentials are, maybe we should start with how did you actually get into actual plays? What is your origin story, as I believe Vahid likes to call it when he interviews people like this? You want to start, Vahid? We'll just keep going in the same order unless people want to jump in.
Sure. Yeah, love to. So, as I've said many times before, doing D&D makes you a cool nerd, which is great. And streaming makes you a nerd, and then streaming D&D makes you mega nerd. So, so what happened for me is about 5 years ago, when a bit longer than 5 years ago, I come from the TV industry. So I worked in television for most of my working life, and so someone showed me Critical Role, and I thought, wow, that looks cool, and actually it doesn't look technically too difficult. And, you know, working in TV, I knew how to set something up like that. And so stupidly, perhaps, formed a company with the intention of doing an actual play, and then, you know, did casting for actors, and then we got people together and then started our first show. And yeah, so that's a brief origin story. It's not the full story, of course, but that's how we did it. It really was from the point of view of trying to do it from a television production and from a business point of view. Like we had you know, we had a business plan, and we have investors and, you know, people that put money behind it and all that kind of stuff. And so for us, that was the way that we went about it. And so the people that we hired as actors, only one of them had ever played Dungeons and Dragons before. So, you know, we came from it from that point of view, that it was a television production. And therefore, what you need is people that can perform, not necessarily people that know how to play D&D, because anyone can learn how to play D&D.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you really did come at it from a direction that not many people come at it from. More people come at it from, oh, we're just some mates making a game and we want to share it with the world. Whereas you came from, like you said, the business end of things.
And there's pluses and minuses to that. It meant that we could, because we did have some people backing us right from the beginning, it meant that we had a head start with a whole bunch of things. You know, it meant that we could invest in sets and props and professional actors that were cast members. And it meant, you know, like, you know, so we were in the very fortunate position that we were able to be, you know, to get that Twitch. What's it called when people are able to give you subs? What's that called? Twitch, not verified. What's
Affiliate?
Affiliate, you know, in 1 month, you know? So like, because of that, we were able to fast track things. And so we, you know, because that we were able to grow pretty quick, pretty fast, but it also has the disadvantage that you have to, well, when someone invests, they're not just giving you the money. And so you have to be able to earn money from it. It's not the same as a labor of love.
Yeah.
And it is a labor of love, but it can't just be a labor of love for it to continue. It has to actually pay bills, pay rent, pay actors. You know, there's a high ceiling of expenses that go along with it. So that was our origin story.
Yeah. Julz, do you think you came at it from a different way? Because you're also from a performance background, but
yes, and look, there was an element of coming at it from a performance point of view, but the truth is, we were a bunch of comedians who also were looking for something to do. Before we actually decided to go live with what we were doing, we actually just realized there was a bunch of comedians that were nerds, giant nerds. And we'd heard of this game and we all kind of wanted to learn how to play it. And one of the comedians knew how to play it. And so we ended up at his house, just like bringing snacks and learning how to play the game, right? Like that's how we actually started. Partway through that, we realized what we were doing was really funny, because we couldn't help ourselves, because we're comedians by nature. And so what we were doing is trying to actively make each other laugh. And we were laughing so hard that we were laughing much harder than most of our audiences were when we were on stage. So we were like, you know what might be better than stand up? This. And so initially we actually started with one microphone in the middle of a kitchen table, just recording just to see. With no real plans as to what we were going to do with it. And in fact, that isn't even what we released to start with. We just recorded that, we had that in the tank, and we actually go in, okay, I kind of think we know what we're sort of doing now. We want to do that with a different group of people because we actually want a group of people who can meet regularly, are committed to doing this thing together. Because it couldn't just be, oh, we meet once a couple of months. We obviously needed to have a conversation about that. So we ended up with a new group of people. Same DM, same me, but everybody else changed around it. And then a whole new kind of storyline. And what we did was we wove both of them together. So early in on the Isen days, you hear
Oh no. Has the storm affected Julz?
started.
There we
campaign.
go.
Yeah. Oh, did
Hey.
you lose me?
Yeah, briefly.
Yeah. Just the last
cool.
seconds.
Yeah, so the Fate Weavers is the original starting campaign. It's actually the one that we did first, but we published it sort of partway into what we ended up releasing, which is kind of a fun little trivia about how Fate of Isen actually started. And we still started with just a Yeti blue mic in the middle of the room with, on a pile of books, like with one laptop. And Julz not understanding that when you eat KFC in the room with the same microphone, you can definitely hear it. There was a lot of learning about mic etiquette and all of that stuff because we had no idea. That wasn't our background. So, there was a lot that we stumbled along. But that's where we started, in a room around one microphone and just trying to make each other laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Audio has been the hardest thing for me to learn as a, learn as you go video person.
Yeah.
I come from a very different sort of background, but I'd like to say that you guys are you're my I told you so, right? So right back in the very beginning when we were starting Google Hangouts and things like that, it was kind of started like there was RPGNet. The hobby had almost died in the 90s from all these armchair experts who were telling everybody how to play the game, and there's no evidence for them because nobody had seen anybody else play these games. So you come into it, you read the rules, you read the message boards, and you get these very dominant opinions. And a lot of us who were playing actively were looking at these opinions and going, this is not good. This is not conducive, and this is where the anger against grognards come from.
Yeah.
A lot of it. And then along comes Google Hangouts and video chats, and we're like, right, excellent. Let's turn this into a medium where we can start actually gaming with each other, because a lot of us, we'd grown out of our schoolhood and collegehood friendships and things and gone on with life, and we still had that urge to get together and have these social networks. And now we realize we could do it internationally and actually game with the people that we're talking with in these forums and things. And right from the beginning, it became evident to me that this was a whole new entertainment medium that was being born. And D&D and other role-playing games are inherently fucking hilarious. I get worried when I talk to people and they're real serious about horror games and things like that. It's like, oh man. So yeah, there's different categories of play. It's a very nuanced, subtle difference between a convention game where you're playing with strangers and you've got to worry about safety tools and all that sort of stuff. Gaming at home with your friends where you're very in your own heads, you're talking in gibberish. It's not entertaining to watch because you're talking in shorthand and numbers and things, and these complicated crunchy rule systems really gel well with that because it's a flow state. You're not even looking, the table so well that it's just enhancing the theater of the mind stuff going on. You've got people who are really into the wargaming side of it and skirmish play and tactical combat and miniatures and all that sort of stuff. That lends itself very well, but you want the background of somebody like Vahid, for instance, with a production background to make it entertaining to look at. So this was all sort of churning up and coming, and I've been lucky enough to watch it all grow. And now we're in a position where Vahid can come into the thing from an entertainment side of it. Julz can come into it from a comedian side of it, with that improv flavor and the crowd work and all that sort of stuff. And so there's these, it's like I just said before the stream that it's like early Shakespeare times where you've got troops of people who are bringing their own flavor to it, and they get an audience following because that's what people are latched onto. You don't have enough time to watch everything, so you watch one thing. Yeah, and it's just, yeah, far from being a person who was there at the beginning and was like resentful of anything coming in. No, I was the one who's saying, this is the future that we're headed towards, and I think it's going to be great. It could go horribly wrong, but I think it's going to be great. And sure enough, Critical Role and all that sort of stuff just blew everybody's minds. So yeah, we had no idea it was going to go live stream, mainstream. We had no idea people were going to earn money out of this. You know, so yeah, here we are.
Yeah. So you was talking, AJ, just about the early days of getting it and introducing people to being able to watch different ways of playing it. How, and this is for all of you, how have things changed from those days to what you're doing now? So did you like Jill said, you started out with just that one microphone, that one laptop, and one group of performers. How are you doing things now as opposed to when you first started or when you first saw it happening?
Yeah, so right now all of us have got a mic and we're all talking with each other via our own cameras and at home setup. So the fundamental difference is when you're with a group of people in person around a table and you're all being recorded, interacting live. So that's a totally different kettle of fish to being on camera and talking in a group of people in individual streams, which is not such a huge distinction. It's not as huge as you'd think, or we thought back in the day. But I think the main difference these days is just culture, and also sensibilities. So it was the Wild West. Anything goes. Back in the early days of Google Hangouts, we tried everything, and it's kind of gone full circle because D&D became extremely dominant. But right at the very beginning, everybody was itching to play games that they hadn't gotten to play for years because the local game store only ran D&D. Now we're on tubes and we're connecting with these niche groups, and all of a sudden it's like, let's play Palladium, or let's play Call of Cthulhu, or let's play Paranoia or Traveller. And you know, all sorts of games that had just sort of died off got a resurgence, and now D&D has kind of shot itself in the foot a little bit. And there's now this explosion, which we now are calling the maelstrom, of just tons and tons of self-published stuff, which is just coming out at such a huge rate that I don't think it's ever going to stop. I sort of thought it would slow down and we'd start to archive and something would sort of rise up, but no, it's just I couldn't possibly, on my shelf, I would collapse under the books that I want, and I'm already got a backlog. It's like unpainted miniatures, but D&D books back there, you know, role-playing books, games that I want to play. Yeah, the shelf of shame. Yeah. So yeah, the main difference is culture. You know, safety words and safety things and tools, and those are sort of a social experiment. But we're still in the Wild West. We haven't really cemented into fixed forms yet, so it's very exciting still.
What about you, Vahid? What has changed from when you started Dice Legends to what you are doing now?
Massive change. You know, like I think it's a stage of everything in the entire media industry is in constant state of reinvention. You know, the way that we consume media as a planet has changed in 15 years massively. You know, and that's the same in the actual play viewing, even in the 4.5 years of streaming, plus the 6 months of setup. So when we first did it, we came from the perspective of following the model that Critical Role did of, we were going YouTube first, but we're streaming it. We decided, well, we might as well actually stream it because, well, we're not doing any edits, so we might as well stream it. And we found that we grew much faster on Twitch. And so we then directed a lot more of our attention to Twitch rather than YouTube. That was, I think, a critical mistake for us. So we didn't grow as fast on YouTube, and we grew fairly quickly on Twitch. But unfortunately, the international viewing trends of actual play have massively changed since post-COVID. Even the biggest players like Critical Role now gets a third of what it's.
Well, Critical Role's a bit of an outlier there because they've created their own place for people to watch it now. So
That's true. That's true.
People off
Yes.
Twitch.
But even like Twitch, actual play stuff, Twitch, I don't think is when one looks at the streaming stats of D&D actual play or the TTRPG actual play stats month by month, it's clear that that is not the platform that people are consuming large quantities of actual play content. Podcasts, YouTube content like this stuff that AJ does. I think that's still continuing to grow. And so we noticed that we grew very quickly in the first handful of years, and then the audiences for actual play on Twitch, you just need to look up, Twitch tracker thing, and you look at the stats, and it's pretty obvious that as a way of consuming content, that is not the global trend, that every month is a little bit fewer number of viewers. And so we started finding that we needed to change the way we were connecting with people as well. And so what we did is we created, had our flagship thing, which was the actual play, where we didn't interact with the live audience, where it was a show that had a kind of a purity of interaction, where we didn't read comments so that we couldn't get ideas from the audience. And also it could be then chopped up for podcasts and YouTube content, and someone that's not involved in the live stuff would be able to enjoy it as an experience that doesn't take them out because we're talking to a live audience. And then we introduced a parallel stream of world building and stuff, which was totally 100% audience involved interaction. And that was really successful. We found that for a quarter of the cost of production value, we would get about 66 to 75% of the same income revenue. Mm-hmm. So as a platform, that way of interaction became a really popular way of interacting. So, but unfortunately, doing the actual play, the flagship stuff, because the audiences became smaller on Twitch, it meant that sponsors were no longer interested in supporting that as a platform, which meant that we weren't able to continue doing that aspect of actual play after about 3 years, and so have moved on to doing other forms.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Julz? Has Fate of Isen and Grow Up, Run Away, has that changed?
Well, I mean, Grow Up, Run Away is still in its baby stages, where I think we're only up to about 9 episodes released. But actually, a lot of what I learned about doing Fate of Isen for the last 8 years, I bought to Grow Up, Run Away. And leaning on people that have expertise in areas that I don't have, that I knew I needed for Fate of Isen, but didn't have the resource for. Like people who are just better at creating live, quick art. Luckily for Grow Up, Run Away, for instance, we have an in-house artist, which enables us to be able to have character art and funny art, things that happen in little skits and stuff like that coming out quite regularly. And that helps us to meet people at a level that is a quick engagement. That's a funny little piece. I wonder what else they do, which is what I struggle with Fate of Isen. It's not my wheelhouse. I'm not good at that stuff. So, and I do find that, coming into something like an actual play, learning about what you have to bring to it, learning about the skills that you have to bring, and then trying to kind of lean on your strengths in order to be able to generate an audience, So, I have a really, really funny, great group of performers that are with me. So we find that being able to interact with our community is actually the most important part for us. And so creating in a vacuum was good, and we had loads of lessons, and we were getting great traction on the podcast itself, but we really didn't have anything else to back it. There was no YouTube, there was no stream, there was no we had an amazing Discord, we still do, and we interact with our fans pretty heavily in there, but we needed some other way to reach them. And so we decided to actually move out of the same house and go into video. which was a huge move because we're all in Wellington. So we could meet up in person, but we don't. We do it in our own houses now, which is a new thing. And we do a video setup. We put a bunch of money into some good software, some good technology to capture that, to make it clean, to make the audio quality better, to smooth all of that out, less editing requirements and all of that. And now we also invested in the best moderator ever. Hi, Amy. I see you in chat. Who is also kind of an artist for me, who does my my stream surrounds and things like that. So makes me look good on live stream. And I literally don't know what I would do without her. So a lot of what we do now is because of the ways that we've tried to change to engage with our audience better with the skill set that we have. We're funny and we're funny in person, and that's kind of what we're good at. We're not very good at the follow-up afterwards. So a lot of our fans deal with us not putting out anything on Instagram for weeks. And then we're like, oh, hey, sorry, we forgot Instagram existed. You know, like that. We're bad for that kind of thing, right? Whereas Grow Up, Run Away, because I knew that was something that I had a shortfall in. I was like, who's managing this? And we have that managed within an inch of its life. And they are doing an amazing job reaching out to people on Patreon, reaching out on all of our platforms, actually engaging with the audience is, as well as putting a lot of work into the episodes themselves, obviously. But we decided for Grow Up, Run Away, we didn't want to live stream or video. Wasn't what we wanted to do, wasn't what we were even passionate about. In fact, half of our podcast record with no video. Like, so I don't even know what they look like. So, you know, so it's all audio. But that doesn't mean that we're not bonding and gelling and having a great time. So it's quite interesting, the differences between like the two, and also, you know, how far Isen has come in terms of where we started and where we are now. A lot of technology investment, and a lot of learning and trying and changing. I think one of the most important things about making an actual play is that you shouldn't be afraid to change something when it's not working. You know, both of these have brought up like all the changes that they've made based on audience or based on needs or based on sponsors and all of that. And, you know, it just because you've been doing something that way for a long time doesn't mean that your audience won't follow you when you do something new. They will still be there. They'll still be hyping in your corner, because if they like what you do, they're going to like what you do next, which is kind of a great thing, that we've had these people follow us through and turn up and chat and support us so much. We literally couldn't do it without them. So yeah, that's something I've really enjoyed changing as part of that process. Yeah.
Sero, do you mind if I tag on to something that Julz has just said?
Yeah, go for it.
I think one of the comments that Julz has just made is incredibly valuable for why actual plays can be a successful thing, and that is the ability to connect with a core audience that becomes so passionate that they will, exactly as Julz said, will happily like follow across platforms. And, you know, like when people watch a movie or a TV show, they might have some kind of connection to a character, and they might have some kind of connection to the actor, and they watch for a couple hours. When they watch an actual play, there's this kind of meshing between the character and the performer.
Yeah.
For 3 hours at a time.
Yep.
How many series? And so they get this. There's a beauty in the double emotional attachment that can form between an audience member and the cast and their character, and it makes this really beautiful, strong bond, I think. So I think that is why people like Critical Role and those, you know, they have these really dedicated, passionate audiences. But we see that here amongst ourselves as well. You know, any show that's been going for a while develops these really passionate audiences, and they feel that they have these strong, friendly connections through the chat and all that. So I think that's one of the real beautiful things about actual play.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. Like my most heavily commented stuff is my character work, you know, like when I've had these amazing character moments in an actual play, and they will still come back. Like people will discover the podcast years later, and then I'll get comments on the same moment through the years, you know, which is just crazy to be able to connect with people at that kind of level, you know, whether it is mocking me for accidentally thunder waving a whole lot of wolf puffies off a cliff, which comes up a lot. Or yep. Or the moment where my character actually dies. And I have such an emotional reaction to it, even though I get revivified literally moments later. But I have such an emotional reaction to it. They actually had I went and sobbed. And like we still get people comment on those kind of moments where they're just like, oh, I was sitting in the car and like the visceral reaction to it, or you know, or you made me laugh so hard I can never forget this. Like it's a integral, like they feel like they have a relationship with you now, and that's just next level special of something about doing actual play. I so agree with you, Vahid. Like yeah
there's in the days of AI as we're in now, sorry to bring up the evil word. So one catchphrase I've been using lately is authenticity is the new currency, right? And nothing is more authentic than an actual play D&D game. You get that same vibe of connection with people. Like all of my best friends are from role-playing games. I get weirded out having small talk with people who don't play role-playing games. I'm like, what are we talking about? Food? The weather? And yeah, so when you're participating with something for a long period of time, particularly if there's audience interaction, then they do get invested, and they get that same warm fuzzy, like it's you're the makeup person or the lighting person on a theater production. You're still part of the team, right? You're not up on stage, you know, but you contributed. So you feel a little bit of ownership, of a bit of tribalism. Now back to art, right? So the thing that I didn't expect with the whole AI thing, I thought, oh, you know, that's it for all of us artists and stuff. No, as it turns out that I started off on YouTube. I wasn't a dungeon tuber doing lore videos from the very beginning. I started as a crafting channel, making miniatures and terrain and stuff. That's why I got the nickname the Mighty Glue Stick, which is what my channel was known for a long time. I can do things with a hot glue gun that would dazzle your mind. Yeah, magic. And have the burnt fingers to prove it. And I probably inhaled so many plastic wisps that I'm part web. Anyway, but turns out that my artistic talents for drawing and things got superseded by Photoshop and people using those sort of tools. And they didn't consider that to be AI at the time, but I saw what it was, because they weren't buying pens and inks from traditional art stores or learning batik or all these sort of things. They were using filters and plugins and stuff like that. Then along comes AI, and they all start losing their jobs to quickly generated images. And I start posting my own pen and ink art. And not only did that have the wonderful thing of people going, oh, you actually drew that by hand. And I'm like, yeah, I've been able to do this the entire time. There was no traction for it back when everybody was putting out Photoshop stuff. But now that AI stuff is coming out and they can't really see the difference between Photoshop stuff and things, they see the hand-drawn art. I post that on my community feeds. It gets more interest in my YouTube channel, and it's turned into this feedback loop where a talent that I thought was done and dusted has now been revitalized and is bringing a fresh whole audience to my channel. So I am my own man in the chair. You know, I don't have a person editing my stuff or providing artwork for me, unfortunately. God, I wish I did. But yeah, there you go. Just sort, yeah, it's strange how it all works out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was so anti AI art that I started trying to draw, and now I have like this sketchbook of like little bits of art that I've made for my characters of you know, like artwork and things to give them a little attempts at making NPCs and stuff. And look, I'm not great, but you know, because I was so anti-AI and I was determined for us not to be, and we don't have an artist really I can call on. So I just started scribbling. Close enough.
Yeah, people would prefer your scribbles to, you know, This is the way it is.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, we have to make do with a shoestring budget. You know, we put our money into the recording software and things like that to make sure that we have really good quality audio, and that was our priority. And then obviously website hosting and these things all cost money.
Mm.
So, and we're lucky enough that we have an amazing group of Patreons who support the podcast and mean that we don't have to pay out of pocket for that stuff. We are able to pay for all of that, and the podcast is self-sustaining. But there's not a lot else, if I'm honest. So, so we just make do with what we have. And I think that's an important point with you coming in an actual play. Sorry, Sarah, I feel like we're talking all over the place, but like not coming into it thinking that this is going to be the $1 million idea, and being realistic with what you want to be able to achieve and being able to give, what you can give.
That was something that you and Vahid sort of touched on, that there is a ceiling, right? And we, no matter how good we get, if the entire hobby downturns after it's gone mainstream and it levels off or takes a dip, we all take a dip with it, rising tide all ships, sinks, floats all ships. And so we're at the mercy of D&D as a hobby, and all other role-playing games. That's kind of like from the very beginning there, my attitude was I want to promote the hobby through live play and stuff. So it wasn't about income, it was about awareness. And now there's that general awareness, and now we can see it flourish and grow into all the different forms that it's going to become. So but in the beginning, and still for me, it's very much about pass on what you've learned, promote it, show how cool it is, and spark that fire in other people so it spreads.
100%.
Still doing it. Trying to get my RPG into prisons and schools and things like that. Everywhere. Get into Chinese market and Bangladesh, everywhere I can go. Possibly I'll penetrate those markets and grow a virus. Yeah.
But that's a good point, though. Unless, Vahid, you have something to add in the art section there, I can move things along.
I'll just quickly talk about art. And so right from the beginning, we knew that for our show, one of the aspects of because we came, as I mentioned before, because we came at it from a very different perspective than most groups do, we knew that every aspect of the visualization was important. And so we've hired New Zealand artists to do, initially only New Zealand artists, to do all the character art for our show. And then more recently, we found a couple of Americans that are kind of fans of our show and just turned out to be amazing artists. So, so we pay artists to do our art. I don't have the skill that others have to do that kind of stuff. And so, but you know what? It actually feels really nice to be able to pay artists.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%.
I mean, to be honest, it's like, it elevates the show more than we're spending on it, right? Yep. Its value is more than the money.
Yes.
But there's also kind of feels like an emotional value to be actually supporting an artist in some way. So that's art. And so early on when AI came out, Dice Legenz made it really clear that its policy was that, that we only pay artists, that we don't use AI art. Anyway, that was my quick answer before you move on, Sero.
Yeah, because it's been touched on just recently of what Julz and AJ said, and also Vahid about paying artists. What else do you guys do to either funnel into your podcast, your actual plays, or have found that your actual plays have now enabled you to do outside of that? What do you do alongside it that may still be TTRPG related?
Self-publishing. Yeah, writing. The best advice I ever got was script your videos. So write out what you're going to say, like a play. And at first I was like, why? And then it just turned out to be the main focus of what I do. And now, thanks to years and years and years of writing every week, it's built some serious writing muscles. Just like it's exactly like practicing artwork. You got to sit down and actually do it. And I for a long time I was very reluctant to call myself a writer until I saw my stats on Grammarly, and then realized that I was putting out the equivalent of 4 novels a year. And I was like, oh, okay, I write as much as Stephen King does. Shit. I guess I'm a writer. Yeah. So and now, you know, I'm putting out articles on Substack and things like that. And it's still not my focus. I haven't written an actual novel yet. But again, that's a different kettle of fish. That's like getting up on stage and performing. Yeah. So I can write adventures and things like that, no problem. Write advice columns on how to structure one-shots and do that sort of thing. But yeah, writing a narrative novella series, trilogy or something like that is a bit of a yeah. That's like writing one video for months. Yeah, I'm not quite. Yeah.
Well, you've got the added bonus of you've got so much content in video format that you've also essentially written transcripts for. You could then take those transcripts and put them into a completely different format on your blog, on your Substack.
See, this is this month. So this year so far, and I take a picture every year of the stack of scripts on top of my head.
Yeah, but you could also turn it into zines and actual physical print products that you could sell as well. But
I would have to edit it to be readable, because I write for me to read it off the thing, so I don't worry about chapters and all that sort of structure. So I would have to put it through a bit of work, and I'd probably hire an editor to do that for me, a proper writing editor. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I would bring in, invest in somebody else to get some work and do it that way. But the good thing is, of course, I can illustrate it myself.
Yeah, it's true.
So I will save my money that way, pay myself as an artist, and hire an editor.
Yeah.
Finally. The dream.
I can see Vahid getting ready here. I know he's got a whole lot of things that he can do in there. So we'll go to Vahid and then move to Julz for this one. Okay, so, Vahid, what do you got?
Sure. So because like for our actual plays to be able to be continued, we needed to be bringing in income, because we had those we had expenses. Every time we did a show, it cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So we needed to be able to get hundreds and hundreds of dollars through subscribers, through patrons, through different very means. Anyway, and so and it was great for a number of years, and then it slowly stopped off. And so we needed to change how we were doing things. And so what I found more recently is that publishing, just like AJ said, is brilliant, and Kickstarter, crowdfunding, amazing. What a gift to live in the age that we live in. Honestly, what a blessing to live in today's. So, so one of the things that, because Dice Legenz is still a company, and even though we're not doing those flagship actual plays anymore because they're not profitable, and this connects with what Julz was saying about people moving between media. And so a lot of our beautiful audience has then supported us in other endeavors. And one of those is supporting our Kickstarter projects. And so, like just yesterday, at the very end of the day, I got the second proof print of the adventure that we've released on Kickstarter, and it was all good. So, it's going to be going out. And so, they'll all be getting their books. And so I think that's one way. And then me as an individual, not connected to Dice Legenz, I started doing some pro DMing a couple of years ago. And that has grown and grown and grown. Again, it's because a lot of the loyal audience also wanted to do D&D with me personally as well, and I wanted to do D&D personally with them, and so that's grown and grown, and has actually become probably the most stable part of my income. It's crazy that's really. I was filling out my taxes. I got them in just in time yesterday. I was filling in my taxes, and I was trying to go
yesterday.
Yeah. It was the 7th of the 7th, right? That was the last day.
Yeah.
Get it in, okay? And I got it in. It wasn't late. Don't hassle me, Julz. All right. And so I was having to choose. Okay, what is my industry? Because my industry has changed. I used to do music composing for TV, right? And that's changed in New Zealand. But they didn't have, under industries categories that did not have professional dungeon master.
Nope.
But that's basically become the vast majority of my income now. So,
Yeah,
so
I don't
yeah,
have sage either, but that's actually my job. I'm an actual sage.
can I just mention one other thing before we pass on to Julz, and that is connecting to what AJ said about the writing. One of the things I love, AJ, about your videos is I love when you start with like a short story form and you say in the deep marshes of so and so, and you tell a story, a narrative, even if it's a lore video about a Dungeons and Dragons monster, right? And you bring in all the lore, but I love it when you start with these kind of narrative with the evocative music, and you're painting, basically it's a little short story, and I think that that's brilliant because it shows this two different styles of writing that you do.
Yes, unfortunately, that has fallen by the wayside due to the necessity of the media that we're in at, the environment we're in at the moment. But yes, it's very much a love of mine. Also, reading old short stories out of Dragon magazine doesn't earn me a lot of money, but I just do it for the pure passion. Yeah, I love doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess my turn. So kind of like these guys, I do a lot of professional dungeon mastering. I guess I started because of Fate of Isen, because I actually was for the first time ever a dungeon master on the podcast. No pressure. I decided to have my first experience ever trying to run a game ever recorded, so that everybody can hear it. Hear me stumble, hear me not really be sure of rules. Go back and listen to the Hello Festival of Fright.
I can hear the Vietnam echoes right now.
Yeah, yeah, and not only that, but here's another classic blunder I made. I decided to homebrew my first time ever.
Ooh.
Yeah. It actually turned out way better than you're thinking right now, but you can still definitely hear the rookiness of it.
Yeah.
But it generated a love of writing stories to tell with players. Like, something I love about TTRPG is that I usually have the bare bones of a story and then other people get to fill it in. And that is so exciting to me. Like, I know what the setup is and I kind of know what's happening in the world, but usually I have no idea how they're going to finish it because I don't know what they're going to do. And that is such a fun way to be able to write. And so I started out writing a lot of one-shots and running them on the podcast. And then what that meant is people wanted to play the one-shots with me. And so I was like, oh, well, I could go to this convention that they have over here and run them and meet some of you there. That might be fun. Leading into me running convention games. So literally actually running the entire of the convention for TTRPG. Leading into live shows that we used to do in Comedy Festival and Fringe Festival and stuff that we are bringing back soon. So that'll be fun. It has generated a whole lot of live functionality. And so now what I do a lot of in my weeks is I run a lot of tavern games. So we go to the pub, we get beer, we get fries, we run a silly, 2.5 hour to 3 hour one shot with a bunch of people who are looking for a social engagement and also to be a big nerd with other people who are big nerds. Most of the time they're all strangers and they do not know each other, but they leave like friends. And that is some of the most fun things that I could ever have thought of to do. And I never thought that starting this actual play podcast would lead me down that channel where I get to just introduce people all the time to RPG, or have people come back to RPG after years away to see what the deal is and what's happened since they've been gone, or to bring their best friend along and just see them so nervous, please like my thing, and I just get to be a part of all of that. And it's this amazing experience that I get to have alongside with being paid to do it. Who would have thought? Which is just an incredible thing to be able to do. And my old dungeon master, so Fate of Isen actually had a different dungeon master. I think I saw him in the chat before. Hi, Brad Zimmerman. He was the original dungeon master and I was a player. And he got to the end of book 1, we're calling it. And he was like, I think my story's told, Julz. Do you want to take over? And I was like, oh my God, yes, the pressure and the excitement. So, you know, he still edits the episodes and he's still doing all of that. But in the meantime, he decided to write his own game system and publish it and sell it. Like, so D12 Go, we're playing tomorrow actually on KiwiRPG. You know, like he got the opportunity to do that because the fans all loved what he was creating and they were engaging and they were responsive. And he was like, oh, people like what I do? Really? And, you know, and he's now created an entire gaming system, which is actually incredible. Yeah. And so opportunities like that, to do things like that, and the people that we get to meet also. You know, I have friends all over the entire world that I have never met in person. But I consider them like best friends. A shout out to the crew of Wheel or Woe, a podcast that is no longer around, but I got to know them because they were in actual play playing Pathfinder and we were learning Pathfinder and we got to be friends because we were actual play friends. And, you know, before you know it, like your best friends with someone over the other side of the world, which is also kind of one of the craziest opportunities that you get through doing actual play. I feel like most people in actual play get it. So they're not like, oh, you're my competition. We're all like, oh, trauma bonding.
Yeah.
Like, we all know how this works.
Yeah.
Not trauma, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, get all the world leaders together and have them play a role-playing game.
Yeah. Yeah. So
only with an AI. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, recently, for instance, I got to take what I do and put it in a castle here in Wellington. I got to, I've had to work with different game stores and things like that, but Wizards of the Coast supported me to run a D&D in a castle here in Wellington, and I got to do an event, which is just the craziest statement to say out loud. But that's
you worked with Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah. That's the sort of things that Fate of Isen, that silly little idea that Brad had and we all kind of went in on way back in the day, is now turned into this, you know, entire thing that I get to run all of these games and have all of these experiences and meet all of these people. And this is what I get paid to do. It's just mind blowing. Yeah. I have a day job, by the way, guys, because it doesn't pay all the bills, but but it pays a few.
The one thing that publishing has, as I said, you know, I've gotten into publishing, and this is my shameless plug moment. This is the role-playing game that I made. It's not a D&D role-playing game at all. It's superheroes. And if you look on the back here, this is all you actually need to reference during play, because this is purpose-built for streaming and playing over video chats. So I took what I put my money where my mouth is, you could say, and designed a game specifically for streaming, which means that the rule system is extremely streamlined and very, very quick and very intuitive. So instead of all the dice modifiers and things like that, you just roll the dice, and whatever the dice number is the result, and it gives you a little, tells you what that number means. So nice. I think, every number on a D20 must mean something, and all of this pluses and minuses and all that sort of stuff is usually just a distraction, whereas the advantage and disadvantage rules that 5th edition brought all around was just, that was the answer to everything. You could just, shorthand everything. It's a supers game, and I'm from the very early on, my earlier history of gaming was all Heroes Unlimited, superheroes and stuff, and that was like, we had a group of friends that all DM'd different stuff, and sort of the middle ground was we all played D&D as well, and I just happened to be the one who ran all the supers games. So that's where you could say it's my soulmate, that's what I cut my teeth on. So I'm always going to have a love of supers games. And the cool thing about supers game is if you can design a system that works for a supers game, it'll work for anything, because supers games are everything in the kitchen sink. Anything goes, magic, aliens, monsters, all sorts of stuff. High science, wizards versus robots. Yeah, so there you go. Super common.
Yeah, I think one of the things we're lucky with here in New Zealand is because we're so close and we're so encouraging of each other, there's usually somebody who knows how to play some game or other, and we're all like, oh, you don't know how to play? I'll teach you, which is kind of an incredible thing that we do here quite well. And that's part of what I love about Kiwi RPG Week. Not only are we teaching each other games, but we're teaching each other games from here, you know, from Aotearoa, things that we can be homegrown proud of, which is pretty damn cool. Yeah.
Well, also that you guys were mentioning about not just creating your own games, but creating the stories and the campaigns that happen on these actual plays. How do you go about creating your campaigns? How much thought goes into, say, the campaign versus one session? And what do you find you have to put into each session? Who wants to kick that one off? Yeah, okay. Hey,
So
Jake.
I just recently started with the D&D club in my local town. It's a pretty new thing. So I'm on session 3. I'm playing Nimble RPG, which is a shorthand way of playing 5th edition. The one thing that I made, the first thing that I made was a list of random character names. And I just wrote as many names as I could on a piece of paper, and I thought this is more like let's make some elven names, let's make some dwarven names, let's make some dragon names, let's make a bunch of villager names. And then I take that sheet, and when I'm playing the game, because I'm a very improv-y, sandboxy type of person, who I have what I call, it's a sandcastle with set pieces that I drop in when needed. So I've got the scene that I want to get to, but it's all fuzzy in between here and there. And when it's time, when I'm gauging the attention level of the people at the table, then I drop the big thing when they're ready for it. So it's very much interactive based on them. So it's getting the vibe of their mental spoons, you could say. So reading the room, and taking a break when they start looking at their phone or something like that, or start going off topic and everything's funny, which is fine. I'm quite happy with it just being complete comedy chaos and puns for 20 minutes.
That happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I needed NPC, a non-player character, I pick a name off the list, and then I write the details of what the person is I've described, so next to that name, so that's taken now. So I end up filling in the page. So yeah, that's my go-to. One page turns into campaign notes in shorthand.
Okay, Vahid, what about you? How do you approach all this?
So are you talking about for actual play? Is that?
Yeah, we'll go with actual
specifically-
play for you, since that's what you've done. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe I'll talk about that, and then maybe the difference between that and, because I think that there's slight differences for actual play, for pro DMing, and then playing with my social group. I think that all three have slightly different needs and expectations. So for actual play is a show. You know, it's a performance. And so there are certain things that an audience doesn't find very interesting, but players find interesting. But for a show, stuff that the audience doesn't find that interesting need to be chopped, because it's a performance. It's not a group of players. So discussions about leveling up, shopping trips, they're really interesting for players, but they're not as interesting for the audience. So when designing the actual play, approaching it as a show, there were some concepts that we explored right at the beginning. We got together with the cast members and we talked about what are the themes and what is the feel that we wanted of the show to be in each campaign. So for example, our team got together and we decided in the first campaign, we wanted it for them to be lowly town guards, that they start off as ordinary people, nothing special. And so then there was an idea, there was a concept, which is common in cross-media form, that, you know, anyone that studied film at university or media studies at high school know that often media or books, they'll have a theme, they'll have an idea that goes through it. And so we discuss what's the idea, what's the theme. And then we look at characters, and, you know, and in a performance or in a, you know, dramatic presentation, character should drive story. They need to interact with each other, but ultimately at the heart of it, character should drive story. And so the discussion of characters was really important before we did anything. And so the way we did it was we did it in a couple of phases. First of all, we discussed it as a team. As a team, what kind of characters would be interesting for people to play in the setting, and based upon whatever the theme of the series was. So, for example, the theme of the first series is that ordinary people can be heroic, that you don't need money, you don't need power. Ordinary people can be heroic. Mm-hmm. And so that was the theme of that. And so when we discuss, well, what characters would play to that, we'll show different aspects of it. And then when you're talking about characters, when you're watching any production, something that's important for characters is character arc, and also the dynamics between characters. There need to be some diametrically opposed personalities and interests, so that there can be naturally occurring tensions within the group that can happen, and because drama comes out of tension, out of conflict. And so even within the group, we needed to explore how would the characters naturally have dramatic moments that don't need to be, that can happen just as a natural part of an expression of their backstory, interacting with the other characters in the context of the story. So that was that. And sorry, I'm talking for so long. So
I'm enjoying it.
So character at the very beginning was important, but then we would get together with each of the characters and me individually. And we then work on their backstory of the secret elements that no other character knows about, no other player knows about. Mm-hmm. so that what the other characters, the other players think they know about the character may not be true. And so they can discover it themselves, both players and the audience at the same time, and still have that sense of shock and wonder and awe. The next thing, so backstories became really important, but we always made sure that there were aspects of every character's backstory that the players didn't know about either, that there were things that they would discover about their character as well. So that was characterization. Sorry, I'm talking so long. I'll mention one more thing, and that it's a show. And shows often have formats. They have format things that happen within a show. If you work in TV, you know that at this point in this show, you do this, and then you do this, and so in our show, our format, and if you ever watch Dice Legends, you'll see this. There has to be at least two action scenes every episode. That doesn't mean they have to be fight scenes. Yeah. But there have to be 2 action scenes every 3-hour episode. And so that was just part of our format, that we would make sure that every half would have some kind of action scene. And just one last thing. No, I'll stop there. That's enough.
Don't leave us hanging, Vahid.
I could totally listen all day. So keep going.
One last thing is that, stories, the 3-act story is a thing, right? It's part, right? We know that this is a thing. We need a beginning, a middle, and end. The beginning should have mystery. Yes. The audience and the characters should not know what the heck is going on. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah.
And then
afterwards, I'm going to share with you the secret that I learned about running tables with women.
Yeah. And then that's actual play, but that's different from how I would design a campaign for Pro DM, and that's different from how I design a game for just casual buddies hanging out. Sorry, that was a big, long download. I'm sorry, Sero, for taking up so much of your time.
That's fine. That's fine. Julz, is there anything you want to add in there, or anything that
I guess I tackle things very differently. Again, just like these guys have already kind of touched on, everything I do, I tackle completely differently. For my friends, I know that they are looking for how their game is progressing. They're looking more to be map explorers than they are to explore their own characters. But that's because I know them, right? So I'm not putting a huge amount of effort into their backstory stories coming through because they actually are the sort of people that just want to know what is over here in this corner more than they want to know what is in the corner of their brain. But that's about knowing your players, right? In that situation, I've been running for them for years, and that's how they want to play. In terms of the actual play for Fate of Isen and stuff, I agree. It's a show. It needs a format. And unfortunately, I do not have 3 hours. I have 1 and a bit. And so in 1 and a bit hours, I need to be able to tell a piece of a story, which means that I usually try to achieve 3 things. That's my rule, golden rule of thumb. So like it's a piece of lore they learn, it's a NPC they interact with. It might be a fight, it might be a skills challenge, it might be a new place they broke into, whatever the thing is, but 3 things. And if I can achieve that in the short time slot, then I know that I have done something enough for the audience to feel like we've told a piece more of the story that we're trying to tell together.
Yeah.
So that's my focus. And actually, hilariously, rule of 3 also works for writing a one-shot for me too. I always do 3 things in a one-shot because I usually have 2.5, 3 hours to tell a story, from woe to go, from character creation to bonding together as a team to finishing up the story and giving it a satisfying conclusion, right? Whether that's location, again, action, some kind of something or other, skills challenge, NPC interaction, blah, 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 secret that they find out, puzzle that they have to interact with. And in every single one shot, there is always a combat possibility. Because I say possibility because I have had many a time where I've presented a combat situation and it hasn't involved combat at all. But that is about your players, right? Like, you know, so setting up the option for them to go into combat if they want to, you know, and I play all of my games with a rule of 3. So when I'm creating a one shot, I literally create this. Here's my setup. Here's my story. Here's my world. Here's my kind of 3 things that they will be presented with. I don't know how it ends. One shot done. I don't even really anymore because I write so many of them. I've written 20 already this year. I don't even fill them out. One day I will go back through my notes and I will actually publish them all. But right now they are like all 1 pages, simple, quick NPC names, quick ideas of what's going to happen. Refer this, unless I've gone crazy and made a homebrew mechanic like I did. I got annoyed that D&D doesn't really have an insanity madness mechanic. I mean, it has madness tables, but it doesn't really have a madness mechanic. So I made a whole mechanic just to run one, just for funsies. Again, one day maybe I'll publish that, but right now it's just a Word document on my computer. You know, all of these things. So that's kind of how I create, I guess. With Isen, I knew that I had 5 chapters. I had a story to tell, and I wanted to see what happened with a world where you took away belief and faith, and what was going to happen to the world when that is the case, right? Like that was what I started with. I kind of had an overview of what might happen in it, and I have written a lot of it based on what my players gave me. I don't know how much people think I pre-wrote of Isen, but I knew kind of the basics, and then based on what my players were interested in, the people that they interacted with, what the story was that they wanted to chase, I wrote that for them. Because the game is as much about your players as it is about the story you want to tell, right? So if your players don't want to engage in the story that you have to tell, then you should chuck the story and write the one that they want to play in. Yeah.
I liken it to rolling out the red carpet in front of the characters. So the story is the carpet that they're walking on. And yeah, if they are having a good time, they're going to be entertaining to watch, generally speaking. But I've never, the audience has never been my main focus on when I roleplay games. Even when I'm doing it on stream and things like that, it's just having a good time with my contemporaries. It's our way of networking. And if people watch, great. You know, they get some tips on how to play at their home games. One thing I discovered with my home games, and this is not streamed, unfortunately, I wish it was, because I would love to go back and watch the blunders that I made, is it was my first time where I had a table full of ladies. All the players were ladies. I was the only guy there. And the differences that I discovered. And these are the kryptonites of women at the table. If you want to combat the straight and the cute fluffy thing, cuteness is an absolute massive weapon when it comes to ladies at the table, and they're going to hate me for saying this and letting the cat out of the bag. And yeah, but it's their kryptonite. Also, I discovered there's a whole dynamic. So the interpersonal relationships between the friends at the table translates very heavily into the way the characters interact in the game, and it can supersede the motivations of their characters. So if they're having a little spat about their own thing, you can bounce NPCs trying to protagonize them and stuff. It's pointless. Very different kettle of fish with guys. Guys are very focused on the action and what's next and the what's next and the what's next, and getting the mission done and that sort of thing. But women can sit in a tavern and have a great time just bickering amongst their characters. Yeah, and that was something I learned. And they do things just.
I'm gonna say, to be honest, I've seen guys do that too. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a universal truth.
No, it's not.
The cuteness is a universal truth, but yeah, not the interactions. They've got to have that personal friendship thing going on. But yeah, there's the social dynamic at the table is much stronger. I found that was the minefield that I had to navigate and pay attention to what their week was like before they got there. It's like, yeah, this is like a therapy session. But
yeah,
and also
therapy
whimsy.
session
They
being
do
real,
things for pure whimsy. So the classic case was a lady who had never played D&D before, at least not with me. I don't know if she played, but she'd never played a druid before, and she decided that she was going to heal a barrel that got broken in a bar fight. And she carried on pumping primal energy into this barrel round after round after round. She's just like a delay action, and she was perfectly happy doing that. And I was like, well, she's investing all this time and effort into it, so it's got to do something interesting, and there's no rules to cover what happens if you overheal an inanimate wooden object. Okay, it comes to life. You've got a walking little vine-legged little pigtail vine barrel, and they called it Barry. And it followed them around, and they could milk magical mead and potion out of it that healed them. And eventually Barry got pregnant, and had little keg babies. So yeah, that happened. I made a miniature for him and everything. Yeah,
that is the joy of following your players where they go, right?
Yes.
And also not letting the rules get in the way of having a good time. I'm 100%. A big believer in that. If the rules are actually stopping you from having fun, then the rules are wrong.
Yeah. But cuteness is hugely important. Yeah, I can see why there's all these cozy games and stuff now. I can totally get it. It's like, are women playing the game now? Yep. Yep. I can see it right there on the bookshelves. Look at all the cozy core. Yeah.
There is a reason that one of my favorite games to run ever, it's not a Kiwi game, but Tales of Equestria, which is literally My Little Pony. And it's powered by the power of friendship. And when they die, they just go to sleep because they get a bit tie-tie.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's the cutest.
Oddly, I came at the Brony the scene at the weirdest way. I was playing EVE Online, that massive space game, and all of the people in my corporation were bronies. So I got to watch My Little Pony from their point of view, and I was like, oh yeah, I totally see it.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, we're getting way off track again. Yeah. Sorry, Sero.
No worries.
We're just like talking to each other, and we're just using this as a hangout session now.
No, I mean, the audience seem to be loving it. I think we've got the highest audience count for the whole of 3 weeks so far. So we'll if there are any more questions from the audience, that would be great, so that I could ask anyone on the panel here. But in the meantime, I think we should ask the age-old question of people who want to get into actual play RPGs. What do they need to know? What stages?
Well, I mean that in the nicest, loveliest way. Like, as in do it, but also
keep doing it. Keep showing up. Like, if you're going to commit to something, like, please show up. Yeah. That's hugely important. That's probably the main thing, actually, is just show up.
Yeah.
Everything else will grow, but yeah, stickability is a huge thing.
That's so true. Scheduling, as we all know, is the big bad of any TTRPG, and it can be a battle. There are multiple times in Fate of Isen where I've had to make a little side quest one shot because somebody was just not capable of turning up for the stream, whether they were sick or whether they just were having a bad mental health day or whatever it was. And I'm never going to force someone to be at the game. We stream every second Wednesday, but that doesn't mean that everybody is going to be there every second Wednesday. So, you know, but it can be quite a big scheduling conflict. That's actually the reason why we decided to do Grow Up Run Away as audio only, recorded for an entire year before we started releasing. So we have a year in the tank, which occasionally means I get confused as to what episode we're actually up to releasing, because it was a year ago we recorded that content. But we decided to do that on purpose, to take the pressure off us, to give ourselves time to edit the episodes, to reduce the scheduling big bad. That was a conscious decision we decided to make. So I guess knowing what are your non-negotiables, what do you want to do when you go into this, like how you want to behave as a group is really important. Yeah, how regular is crucial, right? Is this a monthly release? Is this a weekly release? Is this a fortnightly release? How much time and energy and motivation does everybody actually have to give? Yeah.
Go start a game at a retirement village. They got no excuse. They've got to show up.
Death.
Okay, right.
The ultimate excuse.
Yeah, play by seance.
By the way, hi Penny in the chat. That's the DM of Grow Up Run Away in the chat, listening to me talk about the podcast. So I'm like, I hope I'm doing right, Penny.
Yeah, coming at it from an audio podcast point of view, I also want to emphasize what Julz has just said. Create a buffer. Record in advance. Doesn't have to be a year, but get enough that you've got enough to work on editing to before you get it out, and you should be fine. I mean, if you've got a buffer, you should be fine in theory.
You lose some stuff there, right? Like you lose the ability to actually communicate with your audience via video. You just lose that. But we knew that we were going to focus on artwork and our characters being the focal. So, you know, that's what we traded out.
Oh, it's what Discord and listening parties are for, right?
Yeah.
What sage advice would you give to someone starting out?
So if someone is planning on starting an actual play, I think the first question is why you're doing it? What's the purpose? I think that needs to be really clear in everyone's mind. So like in the examples that we've given today, all three examples have been totally different. So if the idea is to get together because you're a group of friends that loves getting together and really just wants to share these amazing stories that you're making with other people, and if it's a passion project that you wish to share with others, then that's a brilliant motivation. And therefore, your expectations and how you plan things can, will be at that level, and you're always going to have fun, and you don't need very much equipment. The entry point is really low, and you can get going really quickly, and it's trucks of fun.
Yeah.
If your purpose is to earn money from it, the current trend, just to be completely brutal, is that actual plays don't make. It is very, very difficult to make money and to cover costs through actual plays at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Just look up.
It's lightning in a bottle.
Look up Twitch stats, Twitch tracker. Type in Dungeons and Dragons or TTRPG, and it's really obvious straight away that if you're wanting to earn any money from it, then it's probably best to put your time and energy into another format of TTRPG that's more likely to make money. If that is your incentive. if you
Yeah,
do
really
want
good
to,
model for watching how that works is Legends of Vivantris. Go back and watch their earlier stuff and watch their methodology of publishing and things like that, building an audience and stuff. And
That's
the
right.
Matt Colville method of self-publishing was build an audience through his advice on YouTube and then smash it on Kickstarter. Yeah, so yeah, that's definitely
right.
there are tracks that people have followed that you can follow in those footsteps, but even so, it's not a guarantee.
You know, like I'm, you know, I currently earn more money in 1 week doing pro DMing than I ever in 4.5 years earned on Dice Legends directly. Dice Legends as a company earned money and was able to pay expenses and all that kind of stuff. But me personally benefiting, yeah, very much. Now, a question was asked about starting equipment. So I think what Julz mentioned at the beginning, if it's a passion project, a bunch of comedians coming together and a bunch of friends, you know, there's nothing wrong with starting with one microphone. It's going to sound terrible initially. I don't know, maybe Julz, maybe you had some magic with your blue mic, but I suspect that most people first. But then if you want
This was it. This is the original mic.
if you're doing it in person, then there's a lot more gear well, you need gear, you need decent microphones, but lapel mics are inexpensive. You need a lapel mics and a mixing box. You need a computer and an interface. That's what you need. And you need, if you're doing video, you need cameras, minimum 3 cameras, 4 preferably if you're doing minis as well. So if you're wanting to do, you know, the next step up of actual play production equipment, what you need is 4 cameras, a microphone for everyone, preferably lapels. They're much easier to use. You need a box for them to, a mixing box for them to go into, and you need an audio interface, and you need someone with tech gear to put it all together. So in terms of the question that was asked before about what's needed for that, if you're doing it live, like, or a video like this, everyone needs to have a decent microphone and an HD camera.
And headphones.
Headphones. Yeah.
I know. Don't do what I'm doing right now, and I wouldn't on a podcast. My headphones are charging. Apologies. I've been doing a lot of streaming this week. They died. The problem with wireless headphones. Don't do that. But yeah. And I would also say invest in lighting to addition for that, because I have 2 ring lights, one from each side, which is sort of why you get this double shadow going on my face. But that is purely because if we're doing video, I want to be seen. Otherwise, why am I doing it? You know, strong camera, good lighting. And then I invested in an office so that I would have a decent background, you know, and that is part of what I do. I know you probably can't see a lot of it, but, you know, I've got like a million minis behind me on a shelf. And on the other side, I've got like an entire bookshelf of stuff. Yeah. Yep, just off screen is the grey pile of Shane, so we're not showing that today.
Yep. I've got the same Yeti microphone. It's my Mimic mic, so I've custom sculpted a Mimic on the back here that you can't see because it's kind of angled towards me. But it's quality just because of the position that it's in at the moment. The USB connection at the top is really scratchy, and I have to like jiggle it to make it work. It's, you know, everything. It's got its own personality and quirks. JPL mic headphones, nice cheap middle of the range things. Don't spend $300 on a set of headphones. It's usually a rip-off. The quality difference is not huge. Logitech high HD camera, easy as. I don't have any extra lights. I just got a lamp here and an ambient light up the back there. You can sort of see it would be blaring if it was, So the camera does a lot of the work, and I just radiate light anyway because I'm so pale.
Yeah, you can see me being all pale and shiny too. I got light on one side but not on the other.
I think some of the most important setup, like equipment that Isen has, is actually the software that we use to record on. We invested on Riverside. Riverside does a lot of cutting out the ambient noise for us because it has good echo suppression, good noise suppression. It also records everybody individually, which means if there's a problem on one mic, then we can fix that on that mic, and it's not everybody's sound is stuffed because that one person had a problem. Some of that stuff I found is absolutely crucial. And I'm not even doing the editing. Brad does all of our editing, and it was basically him who was like, we're not doing one feed. This is a nightmare in terms of being able to separate out.
If you're doing a podcast, I agree. You have to use Riverside. It really is bang for buck. It is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. It also allows you to stream straight. There's a lot of plug-in software. It has transcripts in it. If that's your jam, you can do that. It actually clips for you potentially as well. So does a whole lot of the potential quick editing for you. We obviously plug through to OBS before we go into Twitch. So I actually grab from the OBS and the Twitch, but Riverside, man, it's money well spent. Yeah.
If you're
Substack does a lot of auto stuff as well. It auto clips things, so it makes short clips for you. I use Adobe Enhance as the only audio software I use. It just gets my audio that I record and just filters everything out of it. One click of a button and it's done.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say here that if you don't have the money for it, you're just a passion project, or you're looking for free options, Ninja, which is what we're using at the moment for our video call. You can record separate audio on that. If you want, you can use Audacity for free editing, or there's another way to record in Discord, but Discord has lower quality audio. So if you pay for a Nitro boost, you can up the quality a bit. And there's a bot called Craig.
Hi, Craig.
That will record everyone separately. So that's one entry level way to do it on the cheap as well. If you have a Mac, you can use, GarageBand for editing as well. So those are some options where you can, you don't have to spend that much money to get in.
Yeah.
But
you'd be surprised what free options there are.
Yeah, 100%. I do find though with the free options, you just need to do more editing, and you may need to revise certain things. Like unfortunately for Grow Up Runaway, we're using Audacity Solo and Discord as our backup. So we use the backup recording. And unfortunately, my Audacity just does not want to play. So I only have the Discord on Grow Up Runaway, which means I frequently need to re-record bits of the conversation because my audio quality is lower. So in that case, then you just have to be aware of the investment that you're putting in. We chose not to have a high cost because we really didn't know what support we were going to have in terms of from Patreon. We wanted to be able to cover it ourselves. So we need to do more work to make it sound good. Yeah.
And never underestimate what your phone is capable of doing.
Oh, yeah. Actually.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%. Penny actually asked a question about editing, eh? Yes.
How important do you all think editing is, and what do you cut out?
I think it depends entirely on the format of what you're doing. So when we did our 3-hour actual plays, we edited nothing out. Because we wanted it to feel authentic, exactly as AJ was saying, that authenticity is as a currency now. And you just can't, there's no other medium, screened medium, that has the authenticity of an actual play thing. But then by the time you get down to things like a podcast, when I do a podcast record, we record for an hour and we still manage to get about 2 25-minute episodes out. So we don't actually, to be honest, we really record more like an hour and 20 minutes, and we get 2 25-minute episodes out. But then when you break it down to short format or little short videos, then the amount of stuff that ends up on the editing floor is the majority of it. And so it really depends on the format of what the end product is how much editing is required.
Yeah, sometimes if you're writing a script for a lore video, for instance, you have to consciously write in a section which is going to be clipped as a short, for instance. So you pack as much, a nice little pocket of information in there that can be clipped into a minute or whatever. So that's something you have to be mindful of and keep it like a little note list of stuff to keep track of. Hook, little payoff the promise of this question here, a little bit of planning goes a long way.
Yeah. And then it really depends on how much extra you're putting on. Like Fate of Isen, all of our characters have their own little theme songs. So when they have a particularly important moment, then that particular music plays, and things like that is all Grow Up Runaway. We've done kind of something similar in that. But we also have the incredible skills of Paranorma, who actually writes music. So we have someone who writes all of our soundtracks and theme songs and stuff as part of the crew, which is an incredible gift to have somebody. We actually, when we created Grow Up Runaway, we had all come from doing other projects with other people and been annoyed, all of us, that we had to carry so much on our own shoulders. And so when we made this podcast, we made it with everybody will bring something in. Everybody will take a piece of the work, and then the work will feel like less. And it has. It is, it's an amazing concept that we brought in when we started it. Mine is community and building in and around that, chatting to people in Discord and, and being able to run the Patreon and things like that. And then we've got an artist and Liv Artisan. We've got the soundtrack in Paranorma. Poppy runs all of the social media and does this incredible job just navigating all of the different medias and formats and things. And obviously Penny is everybody and the entire story. So, we have this amazing crew that are all taking the weight. And I think that's also something that's important to talk about when you're doing this as well. Like, how are you running the work of it? Because it's not enough to just turn up and do the thing, but how are we sharing? When I share a post, are you going to interact with it as well? Because if the aim is fans and engagement and things like that, then you've got 5 people or so there. Is everybody invested? And all of this stuff needs to be talked about right from the word go, not just money investment, but time investment, mental investment. Are we all in? Yeah.
Yeah, and never be ashamed of your talents. Let people know what you can do. That'll open doors for you quite easily. I revealed that I could do illustrations this year, and all of a sudden I've got writers talking to me. It's like, hey man, do you want to get involved in this book or whatever? I'm like, no, I've only got so many drawings I can do a year, and I'm booked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad's in the chat being like, sorry, I can't make music or art, Julz, for the Fate of Isen. Brad, you edit the episodes.
That's a huge job being the editor, though.
And
you work hard or you look good in tight jeans, Brad.
Yeah, he created the original Fate of Isen that I'm busy trying to destroy again. Like, Fate of Isen keeps needing rescuing.
Yeah.
So sorry about that.
Anything you want to add there, Vahid? And then I've got one last question before we wrap it all up.
No, you go for it.
Oh, wow. I mean, I know you're the music guy, so I mean...
Our show is a little bit different, right? So, we had, when we did ours, and I don't think very many people would do it the show the way that we did it. So we rented a studio space. We had 4 cameras on. We had a tech team that was with us live. So we were paying a tech team, one doing vision switching and putting up graphics, and one doing sound. And so, because I'm a music composer, so I'd composed all of the music for Dice Legends. And so we would have one of the tech people was a sound person who had on 2 things going. They would have there's a free program, incredible program called Jingle, anyway, and would play music and knew all the music that I'd made enough so that they would always be able to play the appropriate music at the right time. And then they also have access to sound effects so that when we were in combat and things like that, they'd be going and they'd be putting in sound effects as we went along. And so because we did that, it meant that we didn't need to do post-production audio because it was being done live. But but that meant that we were also having to pay people, not having to pay. It sounds like I begrudged it. We had the honor of paying people to do it live. And it meant it saved us hours and hours of work because it just came out because these were professionals. They knew what they were doing. It came out as a finished product. And so it was a different approach than I think than what most people would do.
I probably would have gone with a community grant, set it up as a course.
Yeah. No, I think it's really interesting to hear about how you got to do things, Vahid, because for some of us it was the dream. I remember watching you do that and just being like, oh, I would love that. Just being so jealous, super green, because you just got to do some really incredible things. And and you still are, which is, super incredible that you could do that like in New Zealand,
And it
Yeah.
definitely has been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experiences, and and meeting with community and all that kind of stuff is wonderful. The disadvantage of doing it that way is that the moment it becomes unprofitable, it becomes unsustainable.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're doing a passion project that doesn't rely on it being financially viable, then it's okay,
Yeah.
Right? You can keep going. If you make some money, it's great. If you don't, that's okay. You're still connecting with an audience, but because
We're still having fun.
you still have fun, right?
Yeah.
Because we had paid actors, paid tech team, one of the problems we never had is people saying, I don't feel like it today, guys.
Yes.
I'm having a bad day. We never had that because these were professionals and they knew that this was their career. And the only time, and even if they were sick, they would show up and you'd never know. Like the show must go on, right? You hear that in theater all the time. And so that's what their approach was. And so we had all those benefits of continuity constantly, right? Everyone would all be on form. Even if someone was on Saturday up in Nelson, they get down to Christchurch for a Sunday morning show because it's their career and their reputation. But because the viewing, as I've mentioned a few times, because international viewing trends have changed and it's no longer financially viable to run that style of stream, it meant that that whole aspect of Dice Legends had to end, and we had to look at other streams of income like the publishing stuff. So there are pluses and minuses, and which is why I mentioned at a few minutes ago, if you're planning on starting a live stream, you really need to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Am I doing this for fun to engage with my friends? Cool, go for it. Am I doing it to engage with a wider audience and meet some people online? Sweet, awesome. If you're doing it to earn money, then you need to have a pretty clear pathway of how you're gonna do that.
Yeah, I went into it with no expectation of earning money from it. It was like 2009 or so when I started doing YouTube videos. It wasn't until 2018 that I quit my job at a genetics lab to be a full-time YouTuber. The reactions from my workmates were sweet. It's like, are you mad? It's like, it's paying more than I get paid here. And they're like, oh, okay. Have you been earning twice as much income? It's like, yeah. But that was like, it was exactly like a fledgling just jumping off a cliff and you fly or you plummet. And right after that happened, my channel got demonetized suddenly. So I've been through all of the things, all of the cancels, all of the worst case scenarios, and I'm still kicking. And that's just bloody mindedness.
Didn't you also get hacked? Didn't you also get hacked as well?
Yeah, my entire Google account got hacked. That was a saga.
Yeah.
3 days awake dealing with that. They did. Oh, I don't wish that on anybody. If anybody ever has that happen to them, come and ask me for advice on what to do, because it's not a straightforward process. You would think that it would be a sort of a straightforward, but it was like they'd never had this happen before. And literally changed the locks on the door with the burglar still in the house. That was one of the things that happened. So
craziness. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I'm just really grateful to Actual Play for all the things that it has given me, all the friends, all the contacts, all the experiences, because I didn't know what I was getting myself into way back then with Brad and Oliver and, just sitting around in somebody's lounge with a microphone. And now I've run live games at Armageddon. I've I've gotten to do a Make-A-Wish opportunity for a kid who'd recovered from cancer, and D&D was his dream, like, and just all of these different things. And, a lot of them aren't money, but they mean a lot to me, and so I guess, going back to what Vahid said about like, why are you doing this? For me, it was about connection. It was about building a community. It was about being passionate about this silly little corner of the nerddom that we have over here, with all of these amazing TTRPGs, and just being able to be part of just something that's so positive. I don't know if you know, like, I don't know if you feel the same, but, yes, there are grognards, but we all love this game. It's not like any other corner of the internet. Everybody is all passionate about the same thing. We're not arguing in a really horrible, negative way. We're all just arguing because we love this thing that we do. And just very, very grateful for all of the opportunities that actual players opened up.
It's the human connections of this conceptual game that we play. There's a reason why it caught on like wildfire around the Twin Cities and got codified into Dungeons and Dragons in the first place. It's always been wild and chaotic and highly evolutionary over the entire history. It will continue to be so. It's never going to die because it's in the hearts and minds of all these people. Right now, parents are teaching it to their kids as soon as they can, and looking for games, suitable. Like mums are buying games for the family. So
I can tell you it's being taught in schools as a way to teach social connections for kids who aren't good at social interactions and stuff, because it teaches them consequences of social interactions with low stakes. Like
this is currently being played in prisons and mental health facilities. So I can attest to that.
It's incredible, this craziness that we do.
I feel awful for introducing this last question after all that feel-good positive stuff, because no, not because it's a bad question, but because it's a topic that I would say a lot of actual play people hate to have to deal with, and that's marketing.
That's a great question. Yeah, man. Honestly, that's the great
That's
question.
a Vahid question. He probably did it the best of all of us.
I think I saw someone before. Who was it? He said Patai marketing. Who was it that said that? Put that comment up.
That was
yesterday's model.
I was about
Honestly,
to
bro.
out his real name on chat.
Honestly, man, like in all creative endeavors, marketing, advertising is such an important part, but such a difficult and mysterious part.
Yes.
It's really hard. To be honest, I find it's I think it's probably the most difficult aspect is that there are so many things happening in the TTRPG space that getting in front of people is, I think, the biggest challenge. What we found anyway on Dice Legends is when people got to us, they go, "Oh, wow, why didn't I discover you guys before?" That's because there's a sea of others that are also doing it, right? There's just a lot. And so I think marketing is really, really important. So I don't know. I certainly haven't cracked the nut there at all. So I wish I had amazing pearls of wisdom. But I'll say one thing. It was so much better when you could just do everything on Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now Twitter is a dumpster fire and we're not allowed to talk about it.
No, we don't know. It's like, oh my goodness, when everyone just used Twitter, it was so convenient.
I know.
That was
the heydays of social media, back when Facebook would only show you what you wanted to see. And
Yeah.
100%.
Well,
I know. We're starting to get into the grognards section of it.
So coming from the grognard era, I've got nothing but bad news about my methodology regarding marketing, which is I use the Conan Wheel of Pain. The bit at the start of the movie where he's slogging around in a circle. Yeah, so pure stick at it no matter what. So I started off as a hobby, started earning money, and just kept building and building an archive of lore videos. And those lore videos are what you call evergreen content. So they are not reliant on the whatever topic du jour of the news cycle or anything like that. They rise and they fall in interest with the hobby. But my my aspect, the reason why I do what I do and I earn a living from it is because I put in the research, I put in the work, and I stick at it. And I was producing 2 videos a week, and a live stream every weekend for 3 years. So it's like I don't have time to watch TV. I don't have recreational reading. I don't play video games. I don't go out and dance around with my friends. I was in behind the computer doing the work.
Yeah.
So, and there was no guarantees, and it could all fall apart at any second. You've got no safety net. There's no backup. You can't get a loan from the bank because they don't know where your income's coming from. It's a very non-traditional sort of thing to do. And yeah, you got to have some serious mental muscles, and you got to really maintain your mental health, like physical fitness, mental wellness, taking breaks, changing up your routine, and forming healthy habits that become obsessions is the main thing. Yeah, but it's a very
Routine.
yeah. lonely pursuit. So it's almost like being a pioneer trudging off into the forest. You don't have a lot of backup because there's not a lot of people who've walked the same sort of path. So yeah, it's not easy, and I've seen a lot of people try and a lot of people fall. There's been far more people who should have been doing it and should have stuck around and were amazingly talented, but they just for their own reasons decided to bow out. And so there's no guarantee. I never know who's going to make it or who's not, but I'm always willing to pass on what I know to anybody who asks.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think my biggest advice is actually be your biggest fan. Be your own biggest fan. Because if you're a fan of what you're doing and producing and you think it's pretty cool, and you're out there sharing it like you think it's pretty cool, like it's your friends' content which you're stoked about and you just want to be a part of and you just want to hype up, you do that for yourself. That is probably the best thing you can do. Just keep going, like AJ said, just keep sharing it, keep talking about it, keep creating things for it. Like new and silly photos. Don't worry too much if it's perfect. Perfect doesn't matter. It's just putting something out there, showcasing who you are, being as real as possible is actually kind of more interesting than, trying to make it perfectly, aligned and colored and all the things. Linking into areas that actually interest you to link into, not just because they're a marketing tool to everybody else is doing it.
Yeah,
So
not just making content because you think it's going to make money or it's going to get audience and stuff like that, but because you just want to do it.
Yeah, because you want to do it, because it's interesting to you. I started my own podcast because people kept asking me in the RPG space about New Zealand, and like we were a mystery creature. And I just started a podcast called Julz from NZ, spelt completely differently, of course, just to be confusing. And I just did stuff about Pavlova and the haka and stuff. And it's got more listens to some of those episodes than Fate of Isen does on some of its episodes, which is crazy because I started it as a throwaway. But because I'm passionate about Aotearoa, I think we're a cool place. But and that's the thing, right? Find your passion, find what motivates you, be your own hype person. Just keep putting stuff out there. Don't worry about what anybody else says, if it's good or bad or whatever. If you think it's cool, then it is cool.
Yeah, if you're passionate about it, then somebody else is going to they're going to latch onto that passion more than anything else.
You'll find your people. Your people will find you. Yeah.
There's one marketing thing that I have learned that I think is useful. And that is because Dungeons and Dragons, TTRPGs are a social and a community kind of, there's a thing. What I've found is that collaboration with others is probably the most enjoyable and most effective way to market and to grow one's audience.
Yes.
Like, so we have found on Dice Legends that whenever we collaborate with others, we all benefit.
Yes.
Both whoever we're collaborating with, they benefit and we benefit, and also we make better friends. And because it's all about this kind of massive global community, people form in the audience, say, hey, what are you doing here? I didn't know you. And so like you see in the chat, people saying, oh, hi. So like you just create all these great connections. So in terms of marketing, the one thing I would say is the more that one can collaborate, the better.
Yeah.
I did a little collab with Legends of Vivantris way back in the beginning, and you would never have guessed where they would be now. You know, they had like fan shot from talking with me, and they were embarrassed to do the New Zealand accent in front of me and stuff. And now they're one of the top earners on Kickstarter. Doing like, I watch their stuff all the time. Oh man, they make me laugh my ass off. So I'm so happy for those guys. So happy. And yeah, a little collab. You know, I've got a little piece of their story. So awesome.
Because what happened with Legions of Adventurous was they were about ready to throw in the towel. They'd been doing it for what, 5-6 years almost.
They're on
and
the wheel
they weren't getting the numbers, but then they started putting little shorts out of Chuckles the Clown. And that was attracting people to their campaign at the time, which was Once Upon a Witchlight. And as people have joked, they come for Chuckles, but they stayed for Torbeck.
Yeah.
So they found other reasons to enjoy their campaigns and stuck around. And then they just grew from that. It was just a sudden up spike. And that caused them to be able to do other things like the Kickstarter, which was huge, and the last one was even huger.
Massive, yeah.
So you can learn something from them if you're a video, or even if you're an audio one, because you can still put audio up and video on shorts with a little animation or artwork, something there. Just shorts, a little snippet of something funny, interesting, make people go, what? Well, I need to hear more. That's something you can put up there. That's easily
think of it like
on
spinning a
social
web, and
media.
you're trying to catch flies from all sorts of different directions, and as many threads as you can put out. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm a really big fan of some of the New Zealand actual players around the place. Like, I actually ended up working with Penny and stuff because I was such a big fan of their first actual play. I was like in the chat all the time talking to them about how awesome it was. Getting Dicey is another one that I can't rave enough about. Another great New Zealand actual play with I'm actually, it's a shame Reagan's not here with us because I would have loved to have heard more about what he does with his as well. There's so many people out there doing so much amazing stuff. We're not the only ones, which is crazy to think about, isn't it? When we're such a small country, there's a bunch of us out there and we're all really supportive of each other. And so
small but powerful.
Yeah, cross collabs actually happen quite a lot, being on each other's actual plays and chatting with each other and stuff. And I do think that's helpful and something. I mean, that KiwiRPG grew from that spirit, right? Like, we all just want to plug each other's stuff, and we all just think that we are all great. And so it came very much from that spirit of, I just want to hype you. How do I do that in a bigger way? And it's grown into this, which is crazy. It's just the New Zealand spirit. Hey, nobody else is hyping us, so let's just hype ourselves.
Yeah. Let's all stand together and go, bah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get into wrapping things up. Before we end, I just want to tell the audience that there is a giveaway. We are giving away a coupon code for a Deathmatch Island Roll20 coupon. So anyone can enter this competition, and I will provide the information to the winner. But you just need to follow the instructions in the chat there to enter. And again, it is a Deathmatch Island module for Roll20. This is made by, Deathmatch Island is made by Tim Deney and another of our KiwiRPG creators. But for everyone else in here, is there anything else you want to add before we close things out? Anything else you need to hype that's coming up, or, some closing thoughts?
Advertise in your local community paper if you've got a club or something like that. Let people know that you've got a game. That's how I found our local group. Somebody just went, oh, let's put a thing in the community clubs notice, and found them.
Sorry, I laughed because I was like, there's still papers?
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah.
Yep. If you like something, tell them. like it, share it, follow it, comment on it. There's so many times where I've been like talking to someone and they totally knew about my podcast, and I'm like, I've literally never seen you interact with it. It's nice. if you tell the people that are creating this something and they're putting a lot of time into it, that you like their thing. It
Mhm.
is nice.
There's
Yeah.
no such thing as too small a donation.
Yep. Yep. Even if it
Sure.
is just a review, which also is good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or a
spending
like,
time is still
yeah.
spending something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. Love it.
Yeah.
Anything from you, Vahid, you want to add in there?
I can't add to these guys' wisdom. No, it's all good.
Okay, just a few more seconds left on this giveaway for the entries.
Deathmatch Island is so cool. I got to play that a couple of years ago as part of KiwiRPG.
Mhm,
It was
mhm.
pretty sweet game. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the next thing coming up for Kiwi RPG Week?
So Kiwi RPG Week tomorrow. Oh gosh, tomorrow.
I know that
is a
I'm playing
busy
D12 Go
day.
tomorrow, but is there something on during the day?
Oh yeah, it's a busy day for me. At 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, we have TTRPGs in Academia, which has Sean
Ooh.
Guerrero and Dylan Horrocks are going to be in that panel, which has been hosted by Kelly White. Then at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we have Working with Publishers. So that's Cam Banks, who does Cortex Prime, Grant Robinson, who has done many Shadowrun books, and Mike Sands of Monster of the Week will be talking about their adventures working with publishers and answering questions there. And then at 6 o'clock is the D12 Go stream. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's with me and Amy, who's been lurking in the chats playing on that. And Brad, who's been lurking in the chat, is going to be running that. The creator of D12 Go, obviously ex-DM for Fate of Isen, now just editor of Fate of Isen. I'm trying to get him to come back for book 3. I'm like, I'll be done with book 2 soon. I can go back to playing and you can go back to running.
Hey, Julz, congratulations there.
Oh, really?
You're the winner of the Deathmatch Island module on Roll20. I'll get that information to
you
you
weren't
on
kidding.
Discord.
Anybody can win. Damn.
Like, yeah, well,
Yeah,
because I did 2 streams already because I've played Monster of the Week and I've played 5 Evil already, and I didn't think to ask until the second one that if are we allowed to enter, and they were like,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And I was like, oh damn it, it's closed already.
Yep. So congratulations on that. I'll be in touch with the details on Discord for you. Just a reminder for everyone else, we still have a few more days left of Kiwi RPG, so you can check out the schedule there. Don't forget, we have many blog posts, including one written by AJ. So check that on out. And what else have we got? I guess we should say check out Vahid's stuff on Dice Legends. He is a DM who makes stuff with the audience live on stream. He is a pro DM. He is a creator of published modules. Is there anything else I forgot there? Maker of music. A herder of greasy pigs.
Yeah.
Sounds about right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, sure.
We have Julz. Thank you, Julz, for coming as well, who's a stand-up comedian, singer, RPG enthusiast. We have Fate of Isen and Grow Up, Run Away, as
And
well.
if you're in Wellington, come see my band play on Friday at Gibbons Hotel. Because I'm singing a covers band.
Sweet. And also another pro DM. So remember, this is a good alternative or additional income stream for people if can't make it an actual place. And also a thank you to AJ Pickett, who is known throughout the lands as a D&D lore expert, a dungeon tuber, I've forgotten what it was about the glue stick. But
crafter and
glue
artist.
stick crafter. Yep. And you can check him out on his YouTube channel there as well. So thank you, audience, for joining us, for asking questions, and for being wonderful.
This was a fun one, guys. I really
Thank you
enjoyed
so
hanging
much,
out.
everyone. Thanks to the audience. Thanks, Sero, Julz,
you.
AJ. Always cool to catch up with you guys.
Yeah, really cool.
Blessings
And the
of
chat,
Guy
you've been
Gax upon you.
awesome.
Happy
Yeah.
Margariki, everyone.
Yeah,
Yep,
chat's
it's
been really,
exactly.
really awesome.
That's
It
brilliant.
was
Yeah.
lovely to see you in there.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to hit the bye-bye button. Bye.
Taki te amo.
Have a good day.